Welcome back, viewers. You're watching Beyond World is One. I'm Shivan Channa. This is Speed News. Let's get started. The Israeli military says it shelled targets in Syria in response to a pair of projectiles crossing into Israeli territory which fell in open areas. According to Syrian news agency Sana, Israeli shelling targeted the Yarmouk basin in the west of Daraa province. A Britain-based war monitor reported violent explosions in southern Syria in Quneitra town and Daraa region after the aerial strikes. Israel said it had targeted weapons belonging to Syrian authorities. Defense Minister Israel Katz said he holds Syria's leader directly responsible for any threat of fire directed at Israel. Two Chinese nationals have been accused by US authorities of smuggling a fungus that could be used as an agro-terrorism weapon. The fungus causes head blight in crops like wheat, barley and rice, leading to significant economic losses. One of the accused, Yunqing Jian, was arrested while visiting the US. The statement released by the US Department of Justice says that the biological pathogen was allegedly smuggled for their work at a University of Michigan laboratory. Calling the incident a direct threat to national security, FBI Director Akash Patel said that evidence indicates that the Chinese national was linked to the Chinese Communist Party and has received funding from the Chinese government for similar work on this pathogen in China. Akash Patel further accused the Chinese Communist Party of deploying operatives and researchers to infiltrate US institutions and target the country's food supply, which could have grave consequences. A significant police presence was visible across Beijing's Tiananmen Square on Wednesday, marking the 36th anniversary of the 1989 crackdown on pro-democracy protests. Authorities set up multiple checkpoints, conducting ID checks on motorists, cyclists and pedestrians. The date commemorates the day Chinese tanks rolled into the square, ending weeks of student and worker protests. The incident remains a sensitive topic in China, with the government never releasing an official death toll estimated to be in the thousands by rights groups and witnesses. South Korea's newly elected President Lee Jae-myung has pledged to revive the country's economy and heal the nation after a recent martial law attempt in November of last year. Lee, a liberal, won a decisive victory in Tuesday's snap election, promising a pragmatic pro-market government. He faces significant challenges, including navigating protectionist moves by the US. Lee vowed to address these issues after taking the oath of office at Parliament, where he famously jumped over a wall 6 months ago to protest the martial law decree. US Vice President J.D. Vance has accused Harvard University of implementing explicitly racist policies that violate the Civil Rights Act, specifically targeting how scientists are funded and trained. He claimed that these policies exclude top talent from the process. Vance emphasized that he is not opposed to universities or Harvard itself, but rather believes that the current model is broken and failed to serve the country's needs. His criticism is part of the Trump administration's broader pushback against DEI policies and liberal bias in higher education. Dozens of protesters converged in the heart of the Latino community in Minneapolis after a large force of federal and local authorities wearing tactical gear conducted what they called a law enforcement action in the area. Videos showing FBI agents carrying rifles and armored vehicles bearing the initials of Homeland Security investigations quickly spread, prompting concerns about potential ICE immigration raid. Mayor Jacob Frey stated the action was related to a search warrant for drugs and money laundering, adding that his office is still gathering details of what happened. A bus accident in Mexico's Nuevo León state left 11 people dead and 17 injured, according to Governor Samuel Garcia. The accident happened it happened as the bus traveled from the city of Monterrey to the city of Tampico in the neighboring state of Tamaulipas. The bus overturned while traveling from Monterrey to Tampico, with authorities investigating the cause, possibly due to the driver falling asleep at the wheel. 2 minors were among the deceased. Authorities responded quickly, providing aid and initiating an investigation. The injured have been taken to nearby hospitals for treatment. Peruvian authorities launched Operation Armageddon 1, a joint military and police effort to combat illegal mining in Pata's northern Peru. The operation comes after 13 gold miners were brutally killed in early May, with their burnt bodies found after reportedly being kidnapped. During the operation, entrances to illegal gold mines and makeshift extraction structures were destroyed. Pataz is currently under a state of emergency with restricted movement and a curfew enforced by soldiers. The Philippines Department of Health has recommended declaring HIV a national public health emergency after a 500% surge in HIV cases among the country's youth. In a video message, DOH Secretary Teodoro Herbosa said the significant increase was recorded among individuals aged 15 to 25 years. According to Philippines Department of Health data, newly diagnosed HIV cases have more than doubled over the past 10 years, from just 21 daily cases in 2014 to 48 in 2024. Cuba's state-run telecom firm Itexa has reduced prices for student mobile internet data plans and amid public outcry over a previous rate hike. The company will now offer students an additional 6 GB of data, totaling 12 GB at a discounted rate of under $1. This move aims to ease tensions after many Cubans found the new data packages inaccessible due to soaring inflation and economic constraints. The initial rate hike had capped subsidized data plans at 6 GB, with additional data priced at $9, sparking widespread frustration. The humanitarian crisis in displacement camps in Yemen has worsened after the World Food Programme halted food shipments and suspended their distribution after the rebels looted one of its warehouses in the north, resulting in loss of almost $2 million worth of aid. The decision has impacted various aspects of life for the displaced, including their living and health conditions. The closure was the latest friction between the Houthis and the United Nations. The rebels in recent months have detained dozens of UN staffers as well as people associated with aid groups, civil society and the once open US embassy in Sana'a. The Indian government has reduced prices of 41 essential drugs and formulations to make healthcare more affordable, particularly for patients with chronic conditions like diabetes, heart ailments and liver diseases. The Indian government, through the Gazette, has fixed the retail prices which are exclusive of goods and services tax. A dramatic video captured by an eyewitness shows a trailer ablaze in La Ronge as wildfires continue to rage in central Canadian province. Thick plumes of smoke obscured visibility, highlighting the devastating impact of the fires. According to the Premier Scott Moe, at least 15,000 people have been forced to evacuate their communities, with more potentially displaced in the coming days. The dollar drifted lower as the market looked ahead to US employment data for immediate trading cues, while waiting on developments in President Donald Trump's tariff negotiations with key trading partners including China. The Trump administration has given a deadline that ends today, and that's for countries to submit their best offers on trade. It is also the same day a doubling of duties on imported steel and aluminium comes into effect. Trump is also tipped by the White House to have a call this week with Chinese President Xi Jinping after the two sides accused each other of violating the terms of an agreement last month to roll back some tariffs. Oil prices slipped in early deals as it was weighed down by concerns of increasing OPEC Plus output and tariff tension that threatens the global economic outlook, though worries about Canadian supply provided a floor. Brent crude futures dipped 0.4% to $65.4 a barrel by 3:18 a.m. GMT, while US oil traded around $63. Best benchmarks climbed about 2% on Tuesday to a two-week high, driven by worries over supply disruption from Canadian wildfires and expectations that Iran would reject a US nuclear deal proposal key to easing sanctions on the major oil producer. The US light vehicle sales rate slumped in May by the most in about 5 years, following a rush by auto shoppers during the previous 2 months to beat anticipated price hikes stoked by President Trump's tariffs on imported automobiles. Ward's intelligence reported seasonally adjusted annual rate of light vehicle sales plunged to 15.65 million units last month, and this is from a revised 17.25 million in April and 17.83 million in March. May's drop of about 1.6 million was the largest since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in April 2020. Australia's economy barely grew in the first quarter as consumers stayed stubbornly frugal and government spending sputtered to a standstill, underlining the need for more policy stimulus. The Reserve Bank of Australia has already cut interest rates twice since February to 3.85%, and the minutes of the May policy meeting showed that it was open to an outsized half-point move as US tariffs darkened the outlook for the global economy. Real gross domestic product rose 0.2% in the March quarter, slowing sharply from the 0.6% gain in the previous quarter, that was the below market forecast of 0.4%. It's fourth time lucky for Virat Kohli and Royal Challengers Bengaluru. After 18 seasons of heartbreak, they finally won their maiden Indian Premier League title. A superlative effort from their bowlers helped them beat Punjab Kings by 6 runs in the title clash. RCB made 190 for 9 while batting first. Virat Kohli top scored with 43. Krunal Pandya restricted Punjab as Shreyas Iyer's side fell short. Kohli was overcome with emotion. And then came the moment RCB fans had been waiting for, their beloved team lifting the elusive IPL trophy. World Boxing has apologized to the Algerian Boxing Federation for naming Imam Khalif in their announcement that mandatory sex testing will be introduced for boxers in all their competitions. Algerian boxer Khalif was specifically mentioned when World Boxing released its new policy last Friday. All boxers, including Khalif, will be unable to compete in their events until they undergo the testing. Khalif, though, was singled out in the government body's announcement. World Boxing President Boris Wurst reached out to the Algerian Boxing Federation to acknowledge that it was wrong to mention Khalif in the statement.